Wait up there. Wait up. Wait up. Come on now.
You came to see me?
Like Diddy, Jay-Z's sexual preference is peculiar to say the least. Well, Jay-Z 100% is a golden, right? He likes to watch his woman, Beyonce, with other men.
As a close friend of Jay-Z, what was your reaction to him opening up about his infidelities? Were you surprised?
No.
Did he put it out there?
No, I wasn't.
No.
I was surprised about Lemonade, but I wasn't surprised about...
You were.
In Jay-Z's career, you can look at that and say the association to Beyonce is when he started to receive the 17 Grammys since he's been with Beyonce.
For years, one question has followed Beyonce and Jay-Z behind closed doors. What really happened inside the private world surrounding Diddy? Now, with 50 Cent claiming there was far more footage than the public ever saw, an old mystery is suddenly becoming something much bigger. The footage everyone saw may have been only the beginning. 50 Cent has repeatedly hinted that the Diddy documentary left an enormous amount of material on the cutting room floor. And if the accounts surrounding those unreleased recordings are even partly accurate, the next revelations could reach far beyond Diddy himself, because Beyonce's name keeps appearing around the conversation. So does Jay-Z's self. There are alleged private party accounts, alleged recordings, alleged tapes being shopped around Hollywood, and a reported archive of roughly 140 hours of footage. But the biggest question isn't what we've already seen. It's what 50 Cent still hasn't shown. When 50 Cent entered the Diddy story, he wasn't simply another commentator reacting to headlines. He became connected to something much more valuable: footage. The documentary presented audiences with unusually personal material surrounding Diddy, including moments that appeared to show the music mogul away from the polished public image he had maintained for decades. But even after viewers saw the documentary, 50 made something very clear. There was more, a lot more.
He was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are. Like, what is the issue?
That conversation quietly changed the entire story. Because 4 episodes meant choices had to be made, material had to be removed, stories had to be shortened, and according to 50's own explanation, not everything could fit. Then came another detail. People allegedly began approaching him with new information after the documentary came out. That matters because scandals often grow in stages. First, one person speaks, then another. Then people who were previously afraid to talk begin realizing that they're not alone. And suddenly information that once remained buried starts moving through the industry. 50's comments suggested that process was already happening. And if he really had additional footage, the obvious question became, who else was captured? That is where the Beyonce connection enters. Not as a proven conclusion, as a mystery. Because Beyonce and Jay-Z occupied the same elite entertainment world as Diddy for years. They attended many of the same events, knew many of the same people, and moved through circles where private parties could involve some of the biggest names in music. And according to one account, there was a particular Diddy gathering that later became central to the speculation. Diddy's public parties were legendary, but the allegations surrounding his private gatherings created a completely different picture. The distinction is important. A celebrity appearing at a Diddy event does not automatically mean they participated in anything illegal or abusive. But the more people began discussing what allegedly happened after the public left, the more attention turned toward who remained behind. One account in particular placed Beyonce and Jay-Z inside Diddy's Los Angeles home doing one of these private situations. The speaker described Diddy removing most of the guests while keeping a much smaller group inside.
I was at a party at Diddy crib in LA. This was the beginning of 2020. You know what I mean? Diddy had put everybody else out the crib, like the influx of people he had put them out. But he had took a liking to me in particular around the time, man. It was really, you know what I mean, like putting his arm around me.
Right.
So he had put majority of the people out, but he allowed me to stay in there. Me and maybe about 15 others.
Right.
Jay-Z and Beyonce being 2 of the other 15 people in the room. So that'll just put it into perspective of the type of company I was in
right
at the moment, And she came over and introduced herself to me like as if she had to.
Right.
Beyonce, cut it out. But I'm a big fan of your work, you know what I'm saying? Whoop the whoop, and that was just dope. That was dope as hell to me, man. That was dope.
That account became a major piece of the online conversation because suddenly the question wasn't simply whether Beyonce knew Diddy. Of course she did. The question became whether she had ever been present inside the more private environments that later became central to the allegations against him. And that distinction is everything. Because the public has seen countless celebrities photographed with Diddy, but private footage is different. A photograph captures a moment. A recording can capture hours, conversations, people arriving, people leaving. What happens after the cameras are supposed to stop? And that brings us to the tapes. One attorney later discussed being approached by someone who allegedly wanted assistance selling a Diddy-related recording.
I was just recently contacted by someone who wanted me to essentially represent them in the sale of one of the Diddy tapes. So, which I declined that because...
Wait a minute, say that again. Say that again, back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
the shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of, and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became a public knowledge.
I've heard this before, so like a catch and kill.
Catch and kill, correct.
Wow, can you, and I guess you can't reveal the person who is on
No, I can't explain who the person was, but Mr.
High profile?
Mr. Combs was in the tape, and this other person is, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs.
Really? Really? And you've seen it?
I've seen stills of the video.
Okay.
You can verify that it exists, that it's real, that the other person in the video is very visible. It's no question if it's that person in the video, and I can tell the video was pornographic in nature.
Oh my. All right. So we know that he videotaped a lot of activities at his home, did he?
The most important detail is what wasn't said. The lawyer did not publicly identify Beyonce as the person in that alleged recording. Instead, she described another highly recognizable individual. But once that interview appeared, the internet began connecting it to other stories circulating around Diddy. That's how conspiracy theories grow. One claim appears, another claim appears, then two unrelated pieces of information get placed next to each other, and suddenly people believe they're looking at one larger picture. But there's still one thing missing: proof of exactly what the alleged footage contains. And that is precisely why 50 Cent's reported archive matters. Imagine turning on a camera and recording an entire world around you. Not one event, not one night, not one interview, but hours upon hours of private conversations, travel, meetings, parties, arguments, phone calls, and people moving in and out of the frame. That's the significance of the footage repeatedly discussed around 50 Cent. The number that keeps appearing is roughly 140 hours, and 50 has already suggested that the public saw only a fraction of what was available.
50, the way you run, this cannot be all that you have. Is there other stuff that has not been shown? He said, yeah, well, there's some stuff that couldn't make it in because there was only 4 episodes in the Netflix Diddy documentary. And then Sherry asked 50 Cent, does this mean that there's going to be a part 2 of the Netflix Diddy documentary? And he said that he's just going to put it on YouTube. This was not the only time in this interview that this man said this. Like, he is sure on YouTube for whatever reason, and he was even laughing about it. And in my opinion, I feel like why he wants to put this on YouTube is because Netflix probably wouldn't let him put in certain things because of liability. I think this is one of the main reasons why some of the things weren't talked about in the Diddy documentary. But like I said, also, he is cut down to a certain amount of time. Netflix gave him 4 episodes, so he has to put everything in those 4 episodes. And she asked him, out of all of the people that were coming forward, have there been any new tips that you have gotten since it's been released? He said, well, yeah. Everyone starts to feel a little more comfortable when they see other people telling their truth.
That changes the scale of the story, because now we're not talking about one mysterious video, we're talking about an archive, and archives create possibilities. A person who appears for 5 seconds in public might be completely different from a person captured for 5 hours behind closed doors. A conversation that sounds meaningless in isolation can become important when combined with another recording. A name mentioned casually can become significant months later. And according to the accounts in these transcripts, the footage allegedly came from a videographer who had spent enormous amounts of time documenting Diddy's life. The story surrounding how that footage reached 50 is almost as unusual as the footage itself. The alleged issue involved payment. The videographer reportedly wasn't paid for the enormous amount of work. And eventually, according to the account, the footage became available. That's where 50 allegedly stepped in.
Your bombs. Yo, man, how 50 get? Blah, blah, blah. Yo, Puff, take this self doing that. Let me explain something to y'all. All right? Whether it's NBAs, whether it's whatever. When these young boys come in, first of all, he only deal with young videographers because he want to rob them, and he know that they want the opportunity to follow Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. They want that opportunity. So they get him at a low price anyway. But when you stay out so many hours a day, Puff wants a videographer with him 24 hours a day on call. Whether we on a yacht, whether we on a ship, wherever we at, he wants to videotape that, right? So now, they come to agreement. They come to whatever the pay is gonna be. But then it be so many hours on that invoice that he don't want to pay. He gets in touch with the office. He gets in touch with the chief of staff. Yo, what is this I'm paying? What is this I'm paying? You know what you paying. You was outside all of these hours. It's 160 something hours in a week. You was outside 140. That's the invoice he put in. So now, being if you got a contract and he don't stand to that contract, guess what happens? He can do whatever he want to do with that footage. So now that footage goes to the highest bidder. And 50 had to be the highest bidder to get the, this is business. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't in love with you. Everybody ain't dedicated. Everybody ain't loyal to the point of stupidity.
If that account is accurate, it potentially explains how an enormous private archive could end up outside Diddy's control. And suddenly, the question becomes much more uncomfortable. What exactly did those cameras capture? Because the footage wasn't created after the scandal. It was reportedly recorded before the world knew how important those moments could become. That means people weren't necessarily performing for an audience, they were simply living their lives. And that is precisely what makes unreleased footage so powerful. It can contain the moments nobody thought would ever matter, the people nobody expected to be named, the conversations nobody expected to hear, and perhaps the appearances nobody expected the public to question. Now the story comes back to Jay-Z, because there is another undeniable connection running through the transcripts. Jay-Z and Diddy were not strangers. They were described publicly as extremely close. Diddy called Jay-Z family. He described him as a strategist. He said Jay-Z was the person he could call when he was in trouble.
Get up for Jay-Z, yo! Hey, yo, check this out. Hey, yo, Hov, man. Hey, yo, Hov is doing a lot of things, man. Most of he had a recital that he has to be at the group. But I reached out to him, and I told him that this right here was important. Bad Boy celebrating 20 years of hits. And this is extended family. You've been there with me through my ups and downs. Whenever I get in trouble, this is the one I call. It's my strategist right here. This is my brother.
That doesn't establish that Jay-Z knew about any alleged criminal conduct, but it explains why his name keeps returning whenever people examine Diddy's inner circle. Then there's Beyonce. Her relationship with Jay-Z made her part of the same conversation whether she wanted to be or not. And over the years, numerous theories have been built around the Carter relationship itself. Some involve Jay-Z's early relationship with Beyonce. Some involve his alleged private life. Some involve old industry rumors that have circulated for years. One of the more serious claims discussed in the third transcript concerns the age difference between Jay-Z and Beyonce.
I know people in the industry, been around for a long time, was there when he first started dating Beyonce at 17, 18, he was 30-something. You didn't know his age. I look back and see how old Jay-Z was. I think Jay-Z was born in like 69 or 67. Something like that, 67 right there? 69. I think he was born in 69. Beyonce, they say she was born in 81. You understand? But back then, in 81, when we was in the club together, 98, 99, she wasn't even supposed to be in the club, but she was in the club. It was Club Eugene's, and Jay was dating her. And at that time, if you look at Jay's age, he was about 30 years old. So, isn't she still somewhat a child? To me, she is. But I guess they protect child. That's how you protect a child. You know, dating her at the age of 30-some years old, and she's 17, 18 years old. If that's her true age. We really don't know her true age because Gabrielle Union said she went to junior high school with her, and Gabrielle Union is considered 6-7 years older than Beyonce age that she getting. So we really don't know.
Those claims are controversial and disputed, but they matter to this story for one reason. They show how long the public has been examining the power dynamics surrounding the Carter relationship. Then the Diddy scandal arrived and created a completely different context. Suddenly, old rumors were being dragged back into the spotlight. Old interviews were being replayed. Old friendships were being reconsidered. And people started asking whether the powerful figures who operated together for decades knew more about one another's private worlds than the public ever understood. That's where the conspiracy theory becomes powerful. Not because every allegation must be true, but because the existence of so much alleged unreleased footage creates the possibility that some of these unanswered questions could eventually be tested against actual recordings. And that's a much bigger story than another celebrity rumor. There's one more piece of this story that cannot be ignored. 50 Cent and Jay-Z have had a complicated competition, industry politics, the Super Bowl controversy, years of tension. And now, 50 is sitting on footage connected to the same entertainment world where Jay-Z and Diddy once operated together.
You gotta remember, he didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl. That was crazy. Come on.
Wait, Jay didn't want 50 at the Super
You didn't
Bowl?
know that? Yeah, he didn't want.
I remember Eminem pushed for it.
That was some haters. Yeah,
I remember Eminem was like, I'm not going to do it unless 50 does it. I heard that.
Yeah, and
but I didn't know that Jay was trying to stop it.
I don't think Jay. I don't know. 50 never told me that, but I don't think Jay wanted him there. I don't know.
Because of what? Some of the.
I mean, you know, it's competition. You got to think. 50 always been competition for Jay. Remember, I'm about $1. What the 50 Cent?
That was a long time ago.
That was what 9. What? Was
yeah,
that
but after that, they did a song together. Remember the whole,
of course,
the whole
50 was
sneaker
50
thing?
was always competition. Then remember Jay said, "Yo, 50's coming." He told Siegel and them, and Memphis Bleak and all them.
Yeah.
And come on, 50's like he's on a whole nother level. You got to remember he came after.
So critics can ask an obvious question. Is 50 exposing information because he believes the public needs to see it? Or is an old rivalry making him even more determined to release it? Maybe it's both. But there's something else that makes this story different. 50 isn't simply talking about Jay-Z. He's talking about footage. And footage creates a completely different level of pressure. Because if a second wave of material is ever released, people won't just be analyzing interviews anymore. They'll be analyzing what the cameras actually captured. Who appears, who enters, who leaves, who talks to whom. And whether any of the names that have been circulating online actually appear anywhere in the archive. That is why Beyonce remains such an intriguing part of the mystery. Not because these transcripts establish that she participated in a freak-off, they don't. But because her name has surfaced in connection with the broader Diddy party conversation, while 50 continues to suggest that the public hasn't seen everything. And if even one major piece of unreleased footage changes the context around those relationships, the consequences could be enormous. The Carter Empire has spent decades building an image around control. Control of music, control of business, control of branding, control of the narrative. But an archive of private footage is different. You can't control a moment that was recorded before you knew the moment would matter. And that may be the real threat facing everyone connected to this story. Because the biggest reveal may not be a shocking statement from 50 Cent. It may be a recording, a conversation, a room, a face in the background. Something so ordinary at the time that nobody thought twice about it. Until years later. Until Diddy became the center of one of the biggest scandals in entertainment. Until 50 Cent acquired the footage. Until people started asking who else might be inside it. And until Beyonce and Jay-Z's names began appearing alongside the question, what is actually on those tapes?
Footage of Sean Diddy Combs in the days leading up to his arrest in New York last September.
You want to put the stuff in my fanny pack, eh?
The exclusive video obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating with his lawyers about strategy.
Listen to me. I'm going to get off the phone right now, and I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what, no matter what nobody said. Let's just here and there, y'all are not working together the right way. We're losing.
The footage is part of a new, highly anticipated docuseries by director Alex Stapleton and rapper and executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, titled Sean Combs: The Reckoning. Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching?
I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. You know, he has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account in how he was coming off to the public.
And that's where the story stands. The public has already seen the footage that 50 chose to release. But according to his own comments, that wasn't everything. There was more material, more people allegedly coming forward, more footage that couldn't fit, and potentially an archive large enough to contain moments that nobody expected would ever become public. So maybe the real story isn't that a secret Beyonce tape has in this truck to serve as a member, that this truck has told all of them. Maybe the real story is more unsettling. What if the footage everyone is waiting for hasn't even been released yet? Because if 50 Cent really has access to that much unreleased material, the next reveal could completely change the way people look at Diddy's inner circle, and everyone who once stood close enough to it. What do you think is really sitting inside 50 Cent's unreleased Diddy footage? Could Beyonce and Jay-Z become part of the next major revelation, or has the internet connected dots that don't belong together? Let me know what you think below and subscribe, because the footage we haven't seen may be the most important part of this entire story.